Hello, good evening, everybody. This is Shambhavi from Shambhavi Spectrum. And as mentioned, this session today is called SMS Sewing Machine Speaks. I have no idea if anybody is going to join me here because this was a little sudden decision. But I do hope that if you are interested in sewing machines, interested in talking about sewing machines, you will join me further in the following weeks. Today, since till now I'm by myself, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey and my experience with sewing machines. No, I'm not qualified to speak about sewing machines. I have as much knowledge or information only from my experience. Now, I came into this country in 1989 in November, and back home in India, we had a sewing machine with us at home, which was a typical Usha machine, and it was with the hand that we would use to actually turn and use the machine. Some people had machines which were on a pedal. And just before I came here, a couple of months when I lived with my mother-in-law, who had lived a major part of her life in Bahrain, I came across a motor machine where you could just press the motor and the pedal, and it would move very fast on thanks to the electricity and thanks to the innovations which have taken place. Over a period of time now, we see that we don't even need to use the motor or the pedal, and we can in fact just press a button and the machine works by itself. Not only you can just press a button, it's also possible to have different settings. Let me not go so fast. Let me come back to the first machine that I owned, which was an Usha machine, which I had purchased, which was a Singer machine. Sorry, the Usha was in India, the Singer machine, which I purchased here in UAE. In those days, it cost 250 dirhams. I think even now the price is around 250 or 300 dirhams only. However, people do challenge that it is not the same quality of machine as what was available in those days. The machine had very basic function. You could change the stitch length using a knob, which would go up and down, and you could do straight stitches. You had an attachment available which you could attach to the lever, whereby you could do what we call as a picot, or as nowadays, which we use a zigzag stitch to do that. That is edge, basically doing the edges of something. However, the stitches would always still fall only in straight lines. It will not be a zigzag. And I had this machine for a couple of years. I used this machine. It was very sturdy, and it was just the same one as I had used in India. So it was easy to use. After some time in the year 1996, I think there was an advertisement in the newspaper in Khaleej Times mentioning that you could buy as a special offer a Toyota machine, a Toyota sewing machine. Now, most people, like I was also shocked, most people are shocked when they hear the word Toyota and with sewing machines. But at that particular time, what struck me was Toyota as a brand was very good and well known, and they were trustworthy. It was Japanese. So this offer, which was in the Khaleej Times, if you were a Khaleej Times member, or you could take out the cutting and go and you could buy the machine for, there were two machines models. One was for 450 dirhams and one was for 550 dirhams. Along with many of my friends, actually, we all purchased this particular machine. And that was the first time that I was introduced to using zigzag and one step buttonhole. Many times, even now, people in their machines, which are from renowned brands, there are no one step buttonholes. It's still a little longer process. I will discuss more about the buttonhole stitches and whatever stitches are available in other machines, though there is no brand allegiance out here. Why did I decide to talk today? And why did I decide to come live? Well, for many months now, we have been hearing, especially when people have come under the lockdown, that people want to buy sewing machines. And I'm part of a couple of groups where people want to do this. And because of my experience with machines, I cannot stop myself, and I do invariably give some recommendation or the other. People have found it useful, and I was conducting sessions in closed groups till today I decided to go live. Now, let me answer two questions which were asked this week in a private chat with me. I'm not going to name the people who asked me this question, but I would like to give the content of what those questions were. One person wanted to buy a sewing machine for her daughter, who is around 14 years old, and she had a budget of about 1,000 dirhams. Now, the reason she put up that she wants to buy a machine for her daughter is because when her daughter goes shopping anywhere, she doesn't like the designs, and invariably she comes back home saying, I don't like it and I want to stitch my own dresses. And she's very keen to do this. So the mother is interested in buying a gift, a meaningful gift for her daughter. And she asked in a group which is non-sewing related, what or the features or what sort of a machine to look for. Somebody tagged me, so I said, okay, let me answer these questions. And then we had a chat in the messenger. So I'm going to repeat the same things which I told her in the private chat, what I'm discussed. The first thing which I said about the machine is, please look for in the machine an automatic needle threader. Why is this so important? I have used an automatic needle threader from the time when I was under 30. And nowadays your eyes and everybody's eyes, the youngsters' eyes, are becoming more weak as the years go on, as the stress which we face looking at all these various devices. An automatic needle threader, if used properly, can actually make your work very fast and very quick. Yes, like all things, it needs a little practice, but once you know how to do it, it is a very good way to save time rather than struggle trying to put the thread through your needle. That was the first thing which I mentioned to her. The second thing which I say mostly to everybody is that the maximum number of the frequency, the stitches which we use most often are the straight stitch and the zigzag stitch. So having a lot of fancy stitches, 27, 37, 45, might be a great idea if you're really into sewing, making a lot of fashion clothes and designs and stuff like that. But if your budget does not allow for that, it is all right to restrict yourself to fewer number of stitches because, like I said, most stitches which you would use would be straight and zigzag. More machines also come with invariably the interlock so that you can stop the fraying of your fabric. You get those stitches automatically. So nowadays a basic machine has these at least about 8 stitches or so. Whether they have the automatic needle or threader or not, they definitely have these type of 8 to 10 stitches minimum. It is also good to see if there is a top loading bobbin. Those days are gone when we would look inside the machine and try to load up the bobbin. Now you can have a top loading bobbin. You can see where the bobbin is being kept, being placed. It's way easier. Many times people, when they are loading the bobbin, they try to use their hand or they do not follow the format, or usually there will be a line which says that follow this diagram. There'll be a diagrammatic representation there. People don't normally follow that. But if you follow that, And if you load your bobbin properly, load it into the top loading place where it is meant to be, there should not be any problem while you are sewing. So a top loading bobbin is an advantage. A reverse stitch is very good, specifically when you can use it to for edges which could come out easily. So reinforcing a stitch, it's very easy if you do that. So a reverse stitch is an advantage. Another advantage would be if you had twin needle facility in your machine, because that means that you can have two lines or two straight lines running at the time. You cannot use it for a zigzag, but you can have two straight lines. Most of the time in supermarkets, just like how we have cosmetics, which are supermarket brand, and you have cosmetics which are available from showrooms specifically dedicated for that. The supermarket brands sometimes appear very attractive in terms of pricing. But it is important to see what is the weight of the machine, because if the machine is not very heavy, the likelihood that it will move as you stitch, and if you stitch at a faster pace, is very high. It is therefore important to make sure that your machine is, even if not very heavy, at least it is not very light. Now, coming back to the point that the mother said that she had a budget for about 1,000 dirhams. So I told her to go ahead and gave her some models and some features to look at, and said, go ahead and look at these machines and you can buy these machines. And then because she had an additional amount, I said, why don't you spend that money for giving your child an additional resource, maybe a cutting board, maybe some rotary cutters, and maybe some other things which would make her sewing life more enjoyable. For a 14-year-old, so if your child is between 8, 10, or even up to 20, buying a machine for around 400-500 dirhams with these features of automatic needle threading, reverse stitching, top loading, bobbin. If you buy these and a machine which is fairly heavy in weight, about 7 to 8 kilos, it is a good idea to buy a machine like this. If the passion continues and the child continues to pursue sewing, you can go ahead and invest into a machine which has more features. What are the additional features which are available to us on the machine? I will discuss this in the next sessions. For today, I'm going to stop this conversation here. The second person who had asked me had asked information about advanced machines, and I will discuss this in the next session. In the meanwhile, enjoy your sewing, be happy, and if you have any questions, any queries related to sewing machine purchase, you could put it on my page. You could send me a message through the page. You could tag me. Now that the gifting season is coming, I always say this: a gift which is purchased, a sewing machine, even for 500 dirhams, will be with you for the next 15 to 20 years. So go ahead and think about it. Gift yourself, gift your near and dear ones. And these machines, even if you stop sewing, will always remain your friends for when you need to do some mending work. And mending clothes and reusing them, being sustainable, is definitely the call of the day. Thank you very much. Once again, Shambhavi here saying bye to you. Have a great day and have a lovely Wednesday. Wednesday. Thank you. Bye-bye.